What's up, guys? Just want to talk a little bit here. First of all, let me just say that let me say thank you. I want to thank all the people who I subscribe to and all the people who subscribe to me. I want to thank everyone on YouTube who I communicate with. Reason being is because you guys bring me a lot of information that I wouldn't know otherwise. I'm not an individual who reads the newspaper every day. I don't put on the news channel every day. So a lot of things that are going on, small stories and things all around the world, I'm not really privy to, let's just say, because I don't really have the interest. I used to watch a lot of news when I was younger. My household, the news was on all the time. And, as I got older, it's kind of depressing, to be honest. And I kind of figure, although it may not be how you feel, I figure if there's something big going on, I'll hear about it. A lot of people disagree with that. Some people say you should be more involved with what's going on in the world. I respect your opinion. But anyway, you bring me stories that I wouldn't know otherwise. Of course, it pertains to my hobbies a lot. A lot of gun stuff, a lot of knife stuff. Someone saved a little kid with a knife, then I hear about it, of course. You'll send me a message. As far as guns go, I love the gun channels on YouTube because every single time there's a bill that's even the slightest bit against guns or anything to do with gun law at all, first I got an email from the NRA. Then I get personal messages on YouTube. Then I hop on and I see that like 15 different gun channels that I subscribe to are talking about it. So I'm very aware of this information and I love it. So first of all, thank you to everyone. It's great to be knowledgeable, okay? You can't fight against something you don't know that's there, all right? So that's the first part of the video. Thanks. Very cool. I do love YouTube for the information of all kinds. But in addition, I want to talk. I want to focus mainly on the attempt to once again ban or at least limit, at the very least, high capacity magazines. Okay. Now, I want to approach this in a respectful manner and a mature manner. I want to have a debate and I want to have an argument. There's a lot of arguments on YouTube, back and forth, bickering, name calling. No. I just like to talk about the facts and perhaps some opinions, but in a respectful way. And I really like if a lot of the anti-gun people out there would, be involved with this. If you watch my videos and you happen to be really against guns, I'd like to hear your opinion on this. I mean, your truthful, untainted opinion. I'm not going to argue with you. I promise. I would ask everyone who's watching this video, if you're going to participate in the comments, try to be respectful, please. No name calling or anything. Just stick to the conversation at hand. And you can have a heated debate without actually arguing or being childish. But anyway, I want to honestly ask anyone who is for a ban of high capacity magazines as to why. Why would you be for that, and how do you feel that would help? Now, that being said, I have an assumption as to what these people think. I also have a theory as to why they think it. And I'm going to share all that with you right now. I think that the idea behind let's get rid of high capacity magazines is a pretty simple, almost childish way to approach it, in that, okay, if a gun can hold more bullets or rounds, as we know them, they can kill or hurt more people faster. I get that's the argument, is that why are we letting these crazy people have so many bullets in their guns? If we only let them have a couple, they won't hurt as many people. That's my assumption as to what you're thinking if you're an anti-gun person and you really want something like this to pass through the Senate. Here's how that's how I feel like you think, okay? Now, I say it's somewhat of a childish approach because I think that the reason you think this way is really just a lack of information and or knowledge about guns in general. And I don't mean like you need to know how to strip 1911 down. It's not like that. I'm just talking about general information about guns. You're only really exposed, a lot of you anyway, who are anti-gun, very strongly anti-gun. You're really not exposed to guns in the proper context. You see guns in movies. You see guns shooting people in entertainment forms, whether, like I said, it's a show or a movie or something. You see the good guys and the bad guys shooting each other. and that's how you're exposed to guns, period. Or perhaps through violent video games, or perhaps through news stories. You turn on the news, and every single night you hear about some gangster shooting someone for no reason. Poor innocent kid dies, woman dies. In your brain, the only time you hear gun or firearm is when it's relating to something bad. So you're brainwashed over the years. I mean, your entire life watching TV and listening to the radio and hearing the news and all this stuff, constantly gun bad, and that's how you relate them to. Okay, you relate the two to being bad. So when you pick up a gun, all you see is bad. All you can think of is horrible news stories. All you can think of is the bad guy in the movie killing the innocent person. So your exposure to firearms in general has a very negative thing surrounding it. That's what I truly feel a lot, if not most, I would say a good chunk of anti-gun people are against guns because they've never been exposed to them in the proper context, period. And I would go out on a limb, I don't know for sure, but I would go out on a limb and say people who are anti-gun stuff, they're usually not hunters either. So they're not even exposed to guns, perhaps obtaining food for your family. You could take two people, you can do this experiment, I'm sure. If you get two babies, one's in a household where, very pro-gun, Second Amendment, and, the father's a hunter, the brothers hunt, all that stuff. You're around guns your whole life, you shoot for, in your backyard for target practice. That person won't see guns as being bad because they see all the different uses for guns. If nothing else at all, and I've had this discussion with people too, is, well, guns only do harm. Guns are recreational. Shooting in your backyard is fun. It's a fun activity. It's like bowling or golfing. It's a sport. It could be fun. But you take that baby, let them grow up in that environment. Then you take the other one where they're very sheltered. The only time they ever see it, they never actually saw a real gun. The only time they hear about guns or see guns is in movies. Again, bad guys shooting people who are innocent. Every time you turn on the news, there's some horrible story of someone getting murdered or some kid committing suicide because they found their dad's gun. Stuff like that. I remember in school watching what I realize now to be propaganda. I believe it was in health class, and it was about gun stuff. And it was about the kid. They're playing around with his friend, and he shot the friend in an accident. It's probably a film they show in a lot of different schools in America. But I remember watching that, and back then, honestly thinking like, yeah, guns are bad. I remember that. I vividly remember that now as being, someone who respects guns and understands them for what they really are. But anyway, you take that baby, again, the shelter life, the only time they're ever exposed to guns is when it has a bad connotation. That person grows up to be anti-gun lobbyists, and this person gets to be, the biggest NRA donator ever and pro-Second Amendment, and then this is where we're at. Guns don't have to be bad. They could be a fun recreational thing. You can, believe me, there's lots and lots of people out there who own guns and they never hurt anyone with them. Okay? More people than not. But unfortunately, like I said, you're in two different situations like that. You have two different logical paths you're going down. So I understand where you're coming from by saying, no, we shouldn't have guns, or no, we should definitely limit the capacity. But I'm here to bring up my side of the story, my point of view on it, and why I think that it would not be helpful at all. Okay. So here's where I begin on this debate. There's too many factors that make this what I believe a invalid point. If you limit the magazine capacity on guns, let's say this is successful, okay, and let's say we limit to 10 rounds, like it's in California. All right, you're only allowed 10 rounds in a magazine at a time. Okay. First of all, people who commit bad crimes, okay, criminals, or mentally deranged people who do bad things to other people, more times than not, they do not follow the law. And I've said this before. It's the easiest argument, really, is that laws don't affect unlawful people. Criminals don't care what the law is. Right now, as of today, it is completely illegal to break into someone's house and take their stuff. That's been a law for a pretty long time, and it's unsuccessful because people do it every day. So keep that in mind. It's very important to know that some people don't care what the law is, and they will not follow the law. So right off the bat, that should be the end of the argument, period. It doesn't matter. All you're doing is you're hurting good citizens who follow the law. All you're doing is making their life harder. You're making it harder for them to legally defend themselves as efficiently as the bad guys. Now, the original concept as to why I want to own guns, besides being recreational, besides being fun, I want to own a gun and carry it around, not because I want to hurt people, but because if someone else wants to hurt me, I have a fighting chance. Now, why in the world, if that person is going to have, say, a 30-round Glock magazine, then I'm only going to be limited to 10 rounds? Why are you making it unfair for me to fight for my life against this someone else who's not going to follow the law? I think it's unfair. It's unjust. The thing with guns, when people say like I'm pro guns, I'm pro defense, and blah blah blah, we use the term guns and we use guns literally because they're probably the most efficient way to defend ourselves. If there was something that would be easier to defend ourselves, we would use it. But guns have to be the most effective. You don't have to be strong to pull the trigger. You can be a woman, you could be a very small man, you could be a child in some cases. Children have saved their parents' lives in some cases. There was a story, I don't want to quote exactly what it was because I don't remember it, but it was a couple months ago, maybe a year ago at most. It was some girl, she had her 22 right, it was a pink Ruger 1022. Someone was trying to break into her house, they got in, and she shot and killed them. She saved her life with a gun. That's a child with a gun. Now, if you're doing a video on that, of course, the anti-gun people will say, oh my God, you're promoting kids having guns, that's horrible. It's context, you know. Some kids should not ever touch a gun because they're not smart enough or their parents aren't smart enough to teach them. In other cases, some kids are responsible and they can defend themselves and their family. But anyway, back to the magazine debate. Yeah, why would you limit what I'm allowed to do legally? You're going to make me illegally defend myself. That's how I see it, is that you're forcing me to either have a huge disadvantage against bad people or illegally trying to, set the playing field evenly. That stinks. In addition to this, let's just say in the perfect world, you pass a law that limits something ridiculous, okay? Let's say it limits 1 round in a gun at a time, okay? That's the law. Now let's say some real lunatic, crazy criminal actually follows the law and only has 1 round in his gun. What's preventing him from carrying multiple guns? I think part of the argument for anti-gun people would also be, well, let's say if we get rid of all these high-capacity magazines, it's going to be too hard to get. So the criminals will have to only have, let's say, 10-round magazines, logically, like what they did in California, right? They want to limit to 10 rounds, nothing high capacity, which, by the way, is completely an opinion. Some people may think 5 rounds is too much. Is that high capacity? Some people think 100 rounds isn't enough. Where is the line? Where is high capacity? If I can't have 30, is 29 okay? That's fine, but 30 is too much. Like if let's say they want to limit it to 10. Like I can have 10. 10 rounds is totally fine, but I can't have 11. 11's like overkill. You got to draw a line somewhere. And the question, first of all, it's where's that line? What's fair? But anyway, that doesn't really make a difference. Yeah, you're making it completely unfair for me because I want to be legal. So many of us want to do the right thing and be legal. We don't want to risk getting arrested or having something on our record. We want to be law-abiding citizens. You're making it hard for us. You're making it really hard. But anyway, let's say it is limited to 10 rounds, okay? And let's just say it's so hard to find high-capacity magazines that the criminals start using 10-round magazines. Fine. What's preventing them from carrying 10 guns with 10 rounds each? Nothing. Look at the recent shooting. He had multiple guns. Almost every public shooting, well, I shouldn't say that. A lot of them, the perpetrator has multiple guns. They have backups. They're not stupid. They know if something happens or if they run out of ammunition, they grab a new gun. In addition to that, you can even argue, if you can only have 10 rounds in a magazine, it takes a half a second to load a new magazine. So you're only allowed 10 at a time, but you can have 30 magazines on you. It just seems strange that I think there's always an alternative motive behind it. It's not just, oh, I want my world to be safer. There's always some other political reason that people do that stuff or why they lobby for certain things. So it's more involved than I think I'll ever know or a lot of us will ever know. But I'd really like to hear your honest opinion. And after watching this video, have you changed your opinion? If you're really anti-gun and you really would want something like that, a ban on high-capacity magazines, I'd like to hear a logical argument as to why that would be good after hearing what I just said. Understanding that, first of all, it only affects people who follow the law. Number two, even if you were limited on your magazine capacity, you're still not limited on how many guns you're allowed to carry. In Pennsylvania, and I would imagine a lot of other states that are pro-carry, I can carry 35 guns if I want. I can have 35 guns on me. I can have 100 guns on me if I could fit them. They could be open. They could be concealed. I can carry, rifles if I want, pistols. I can carry fully automatic weapons. I just can't afford them. I wish I could. But there's nothing against that stuff. It just seems silly to me that you'd want to. It seems like if you're going to attack something, it's the wrong thing to attack, and it's not. That's not your purpose. Isn't really just to do that. It's something alternate. You're chipping away at the overall picture, getting rid of guns. That's the idea too. Is no one can logically say let's ban guns because there's too many people against it. But if you keep chipping away at it, eventually you'll get down to where it's so hard to get a gun that people won't want them. They can't get them. It's not worth it, the trouble or the time. I think that's what it is. It's about is that these people are trying to strip our rights slowly so that we're not paying attention. If you come out and say let's get ban guns, it'll be on every news channel in the world. But you come out and say let's limit their capacity. Then we'll tell them which ones they can have. Then we'll tell them no, they're too new or too old. And as you slowly alter the laws like that, eventually you'll get to your goal. That's what it's sneaky is what it is. It's sneaky anti-gun lobbying. They know if they come out with something big like that, like no more guns or other bigger laws, that maybe they'll bring too much attention to it. Whereas they do these little things. Let's not let them have so many rounds. Hopefully they feel like we'll not see that coming and it'll slip through. But too many good people out there to let that ever happen. So anyway, yeah, I just want to have just a real conversation with someone and see, because perhaps I'm wrong. And what I mean by that, I can't be wrong in my opinion. No opinion can be wrong, really, just an opinion. But perhaps I'm not seeing something that you guys are seeing. I'm talking to the anti-gun people. So if you want to bring up a good, strong point, for your side of your case or whatever, then I love to hear it. I'm open to listening and having a conversation. As a mature adult, I love to hear what you're thinking and why you're thinking it, so I can better understand you, ultimately so I can better counter your attacks on my guns with a counterattack. But no, in all seriousness, I just like to understand where you're coming from. And if you did, if you don't like guns in general, not just the high capacity thing, if you just don't like guns, please explain exactly why. And I'd like to ask everyone if you could please, anyone who's participating in the comments, again, please just be respectful and you can have good, long conversations, just no arguments. There's no point in an argument. No one wins. So anyway, that's all. Just food for thought. I'd love to hear your opinions and your thoughts, and I will certainly reply to the comments. That's all. Thanks for watching, guys. Appreciate your time as always. Hope you enjoy the rest of your day with a gun or without. And I will see you soon. Take care.